Hello, hello, hi everyone, hello, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to be doing another soft-spoken video. You guys have really been liking these, and I've really enjoyed making them. I just find them really relaxing to make. Sometimes when I watch them, I'm starting to get used to them being a little bit more relaxing. It's really weird. For some reason, I started watching ASMR in whispering format. Whispering. And I never really ventured outside of whispering. So, this is a fun little thing to do. Looks like my mic is like that. Anyway, I must have dropped it or something. I don't know why it looks like that. Anyway, whatever. So I don't really have a plan. I think it's just this video is going to be a little ramble of some things that just random things I'm going to say. I feel nothing too crazy. I do have two poetry books. That I think I'm going to read a couple of poems from them, and I'll just tell you a little bit about the history of both of these authors. I had to read these books for a class I did this past year, and these are both poems. I don't believe I have any other poems that I did in this class, like poetry books. But I'd love to tell you guys about some of the history because I think it's really cool. So yeah, I really like videos that kind of just ramble and have little fun facts. So I didn't really have any fun facts prepared, but I do have these poetry books, so I'll add a little bit here and there of some fun little sections of poetry. I'm making myself tired. So I want to start off with this. This poetry book is titled If Not Winter, and it's Fragments of Sappho, translated by Carson. So I'll read you the back of this book. It sort of gives a little description of who Sappho was, if you don't know. Sappho lived on the island of Lesbos from about 630 BC. She was a musical genius who devoted her life to composing and performing songs. Of the 9 books of lyrics Sappho is said to have composed, none of the music is extant, and only one poem has survived complete. All of the rest are fragments. In If Not Winter, Carson presents all of Sappho's fragments in Greek and in English. Brackets and space give the reader a sense of what is absent as well as what is present on the papyrus. Carson's translation illuminates Sappho's reflections on love, desire, marriage, exile, cushions, bees, old age, shame, time, chickpeas, and many other aspects of the human situation. So, it's a little bit about Sappho. Just from off the top of my head, we don't really know anything about her. All we know is pretty much like when she lived, but we don't really know any other specific details. A lot of these poems are lyric, so they were performed in song, but a lot of them were burned or just didn't survive, so that's why it's fragments. You can't, do you see how, like, this is a real fragment of Sappho. So it's like, this is what they might have found. It's just a paper that was just sort of destroyed. So what the author did, and there's other authors who have put together fragment work by Sappho. It's just how you translate it. But so what Carson did, the translator I should say, is she just put them together. The word sapphic comes from Sappho because a lot of these poems are believed to have been about Sappho's woman lovers instead of men. There are poems in here that are believed to be for weddings that Sappho was commissioned to make. So usually if the subject is a male, it's not because Sappho wanted the subject to be male, it's because it was made for a wedding or a friend or what have you. So I have a couple of favorites in here. I haven't looked through this in a couple of months. Also, the word lesbian comes from Sappho because she grew up on the island, or lived on the island of Lesbos. So, it's really beautiful. I believe I really like Fragment 16. Yeah. Okay. This is Fragment 16. Some men say an army of horse, and some men say an army on foot, and some men say an army of ships is the most beautiful thing on the black earth. But I say it is what you love. Easy to make this understood by all, for she who overcame everyone in beauty, Helen, left her fine husband behind and went sailing to Troy, not for her children, nor her dear parents. Had she a thought? No. Fragment. Led her ashtray, fragment 4, fragment lightly. Fragment reminded me now of Anatolia, who is gone. I would rather see her lovely step and the motion of light on her face than chariots of Lydians or ranks of foot soldiers in arms. Fragment, not possible to happen. Fragment, to pray for a share. Fragment, toward. Fragment, out of the unexpected. That was 16, fragment 16. So, do you see how it's brackets? These are the parts that we don't know what's actually there. So, we're sort of, at this point, trying to think what Sappho might have intended. I believe in this edition, fragment 32 or 31 is the full, it looks like 31 is, I think 31 is the full one. These are my annotations. Really pretty. Okay, fragment 31. He seems to me equal to gods, that man, whoever he is, who opposite you sits and listens close to your sweet speaking and lovely laughing. Oh, it puts a heart in my chest on wings, for when I look at you, even a moment, no speaking is left in me. No, tongue breaks and thin fires racing under skin, and in eyes no sight, and drumming fills ears, and cold sweat holds me, and shaking grips me all, greener than grass. I am and dead, or almost, I seem to me. But all is to be dared, because even a person of poverty. And it ends there. So, I think the most unsettling part, it's not unsettling, I don't think that's the word for it, but just of reading Sappho is, it's so beautiful, but you only get so much. Because it was all lost in history. This fragment is a female speaker. Sorry, I'm back. My dog started barking. But I don't really know what I was saying. But I do think I want to just mention that even though she mentioned a man in this fragment, the speaker is female. And I think the person that Sappho is referencing, the woman, she disintegrates this woman into body parts and into this very sensual being. And I think it's Sappho just saying and sort of commenting on her love for this woman who is being married to a man, and they're both lovers, but the woman is still going to marry that man. And so I think it's just Sappho's maybe annoyance with that. I'm not quite sure. We don't really know these things because her fragments were fragments. There's not a lot there. Let's see. Dream of black, you come roaming, and when sleep, sweet God, terribly from pain, fragment, to hold this strength separate, fragment. But I expect not to share, fragment, nothing of the blessed ones, fragment, for I would not like to be like this, fragment, toys, fragment, but may it happen to me, fragment, all, fragment. I think that's a really pretty one. Oh, I think this actually might be the only full fragment we have. And this is fragment 1 in this edition. Deathless Aphrodite of the spangled mind, child of Zeus who twists lures, I beg you do not break with hard pains, O lady, my heart. But come here if ever before you caught my voice. Far off and listening left your father's golden house and came, yoking your ear, and fine birds brought you, quick sparrows over the black earth, whipping their wings down the sky through mid-air. They arrived, but you, O blessed one, smiled in your deathless face, and asked what now again I have suffered and why now again I am calling out, and what I want to happen most of all in my crazy heart. Whom should I persuade, now again, to lead you back into her love? Who, O Sappho, is wrong with you? For if she flees, soon she will pursue. If she refuses gifts, rather will she give them. If she does not love, soon she will love even unwillingly. Come to me now, loose me from hard care, and all my heart longs to accomplish. You be my ally. Absolutely beautiful. I just love Sappho so much. Like, that's just really beautiful. I'm gonna find the last one. Oh god, this is a good one. I was gonna find a different one, but this is a good one. I simply want to be dead. Weeping she left me with many tears, and said this, oh, how badly things have turned out for us. Sappho, I swear against my will I will leave you. Will I leave you? Wait. Fuck. Sappho, I swear against my will I leave you. And I answered her, rejoice, go and remember me, for you know how we cherished you. But if not, I want to remind you, fragment, in beautiful times we had, for many crowns of violets and roses, fragment, at my side you put on, and many woven garlands made of flowers around your soft throat. And with sweet oil costly you anointed yourself, and on a soft bed delicate you had let loose your longing, and neither any fragment nor any holy place, nor was there from which we were absent, no grove, no dance, no sound. Wow. This is a very sensual poem again, and I think Sappho is talking about a distant past she has with this lover, and the moments they had letting loose their longing, aka having sex. And I think the theory is that her lover died, because it says, "And with sweet oil costly you anointed yourself." And typically in Greek culture, anointing yourself with oils is the ritual you do before you die or before you burn the dead. But I think it's Sappho saying that she would rather be dead because she wants to be with this lover. It's just beautiful, I think. I think Sappho was so, I don't know, ahead of her time. There's one more that I think is my favorite, but it's going to take me a second to find it. Blah, blah, blah. So many. Oh, there's so many great fragments. Oh, is it this one? No. Here it is. This is my favorite fragment. It's not much. It's only 10 words, but it, I think, is really beautiful, and it reminds me of another passage in Virgil's The Aeneid. Someone will remember us, I say, even in another time. I think that's a great way to close off Sappho, because I remember you, Sappho, and I'll remember you forever because I've learned about you. I have so much respect for Sappho, and I wish we knew more about her, and I wish she wasn't so lost in history, because she's not. I think she's definitely made her way through modernity, but as much as what we know about her, we don't know that much. I want to move on to the next poetry book by Juana Inés de la Cruz. And I'll give you a little bit of history. This is her selected works, translated by Edith Grossman, edited by Anna Moore. So Juana Inés de la Cruz was, or a lot of people just say Juana, was a nun in Mexico who, a lot of her poems are said to be sapphic as well. So that's why I read Sappho before this, to give you a little bit of history context. I believe Juana was alive. I don't want to guess, but I want to say this 19th century. But don't quote me on that. 17th century in the Hispanic world. Yeah. So, she was a very philosophical person. She had a really rough childhood, I believe. But basically, I believe she became a nun because she wanted to be able to have some sort of education. She loved learning. She was, I would say a philosopher, in the sense that she never wanted to stop learning, never wanted to stop writing and reading. And so that's why I think she sort of got into the nun lifestyle, the sister lifestyle, not because she was super religious or anything of that sort, but because I think it allowed her to have a lot of time to herself and to, you know, devote a lot of her time to learning. So she was born in Mexico City. She learned how to read and write by age 3 and was versed in Latin by age 9. Yeah, so she was very smart. Okay, yeah, she got close to several viceroys and vicegerents who sponsored much of her theater and poetry, so I think she also had a connection to higher ups. I think viceroys were sort of like New Spain, but Mexico, like bureaucracy, I think, or aristocrats, something like that. I don't really remember. Yada yada yada. Okay. One of her most famous works that I'm not gonna read because it's not a poem, it's like a letter, is her letter to Sor Philotea. And it's an iconic letter. It just points out a lot of the discrepancies between woman and man and the religious world in New Spain or Mexico at the time, and how women were treated. She was just iconic. So let's read a couple of things. I don't really remember what my favorite ones are in here. Okay, this one's really good. This is Redondia 92. The little, it has a little blurb at the top, I think, that kind of summarizes it or whatever. It says, she proves the inconsistency and the pleasure and censure of men who accuse women of what they themselves cause. O foolish men who accuse women with so little cause, not seeing you are the reason for the very thing you blame. For if with unequaled longing you solicit their disdain, why wish them to behave well when you urge them on to evil? You contend with their resistance, then say gravely that the conquest arose from their licentiousness and not your extreme diligence. The audacity of your mad belief resembles that of the child who devises a monster and then afterwards fears it. With foolish presumption you wish to find the woman you seek for your mistress, Athais and Lucretia for your wife, whose caprice can be stranger than the man who ignores good counsel, clouds the looking-glass himself, then complains it is not clear. You occupy the same place, whether favored or disdained, complaining if women are cruel and mocking them if they love. You think highly of no woman, no matter how modest. If she rejects you, she is ungrateful, and if she accepts, unchaste. How foolish in your actions, with a measure that is uneven, you condemn one for being cruel, another for being easy. Then how can the woman you woo be temperate towards your courting? Ungrateful, she offends you, and if easy, she angers. But between anger and sorrow, the object of your caprice may be one who does not love you, and then you may truly complain. To their sorrow, your lovers give wings to restraints and fly away, and after you make them sinful, you wish they were filled with virtue. Who carries a greater guilt in a passion gone astray? The woman beseeched who falls, or the man who begged her to yield? Or which one merits more blame, although both deserve our censure? The woman who sins for pay, or the man who bends to sin? But why are you so alarmed by the guilt you plainly deserve? Love them for what you make them, or make them what you can love. Cease your incessant entreaties, and then with justification you can accuse the affection of the ones who solicits you. But I conclude your audacity does battle with countless weapons, for in promises and pleading you join world and flesh and devil. Girl. Literally so good. Let's reread this stanza. Or which one merits more blame, although both deserve our censure? The woman who sins for pay, or the man who pays to sin? So Juana de la Cruz, Inés de la Cruz, was an icon. She gave 0 fucks and called out men when they deserved to be called out, and I respect her so much for that. I think she was a beautiful, beautiful writer. And I don't believe her works were really discovered or found until like the 1970s, which I think is really cool. So she's now sort of being discovered, if you will. Okay. Oh, this is a really good one. So this is from the sonnets section. Sonnet 145, and I'll explain the history of this after we read it. The blurb says, in which she attempts to refute the praises of a portrait of the poet signed by truth, which she calls passion. So this is a response to a portrait made of her. This thing you see, a bright-colored deceit, displaying all the many charms of art with false syllogisms of tint and hue, is a cunning deception of the eye. This thing in which sheer flattery has tried to evade the stark horrors of the years, and vanquishing the cruelties of time to triumph over age and oblivion, is vanity, contrivance, artifice, a delicate blossom stranded in the wind, a veiled defense against our common fate, a fruitless enterprise, a great mistake, a decrepit frenzy, and a rightly viewed, a corpse, some dust, a shadow, mere nothingness. Wow. So this sonnet she responded to a portrait made of her, and at the time she was old. She had signs of wrinkles and just what it means to age. Like, aging's alright. And for her, she didn't care about how her body looked. She didn't want to necessarily please anyone with the way that her face looked or her body looked. But this person who painted the portrait of her painted her not being old, but being younger, and got rid of the wrinkles, got rid of any scars or blemishes she had, and it completely stripped her of her identity, who she was, and most importantly, her age and her wisdom, because a lot of men, this painter was a man, a lot of men painted women and depicted them as being a lot younger than they were to make them look innocent and thus not extremely intelligent. But it offended Sor Juana because she wanted to be seen with the wrinkles to show her wisdom, her age, and her intelligence. And so this man completely stripped that from her, and stripped her agency from her, and Sor Juana's being, which is a very philosophical being, and the man completely got rid of that because he's a man and wanted to see the woman how he wanted to see her. Man, I think that Sor Juana is a beautiful, beautiful writer. Like, she just doesn't really miss ever. She's so well spoken and so efficient with her words, and they can be so just she could say so much with so little, and I wish I could speak or write like that, but I don't think I ever will. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, this is really good. Okay, I like this. This is sonnet. Okay. I want to make sure I'm just going to do one more, so I want to make sure that the one I pick is really good. Okay. Sonnet 177. The blurb says, she reflects upon her inevitable weeping in view of the one she loves. You command me, Anarda, to come without weeping before your eyes, and I suspect that not knowing the cause is what has made you wish me to undertake so great a triumph. Love, my lady, finds in me no resistance. For my exhausted heart he sets ablaze, causing the blood in my bosom to flee and vaporize in my sight as ardency. And then my eyes seek and search for your presence, which they judge the object of their sweet charm. And when my attention pays homage to you, the rays from my eyes during all that time, finding in you the resistance of snow, transmute what left us as vapor into tears. Wow. So the person she refers to, Arnada, is just like a common name used in, this is technically pastoral poetry, I guess, but it's just like a name, like a filler name. It's nothing special. I think you sort of can choose who or not Arnada is for Juana. I really, really hoped that you liked this sort of ramble video that went through sapphic sort of poetry. I love sapphic poetry. I love Sappho. I love Juana, Inés, Cruz. And if you ever have a chance to read them or research them in full extent, I highly, highly recommend doing it. It is completely worthwhile of your time. And these are just some of the best writers ever. Sappho is, in my opinion, the best poet of the Western Hemisphere. I love them. I'm such a nerd, but I'm gonna own that in this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this ramble. I hope you were able to relax or fall asleep. And I hope it was very relaxing for you, whether you're falling asleep or just doing homework or studying or playing games, whatever the occasion is. I hope this video was worthwhile of your time. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna leave it here. Call it a day. But I hope you all have a great night, evening, morning. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Kisses.